Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking some Thanksgiving NFL action. Ravens at Steelers. It's Thanksgiving and we've got a nice little special. We've got 50% off 2-for-1 weekly passes, which means you get the picks from two handicappers for the price of one, just $114.99. And you need to use the link picksandparlays.net/turkey. Steelers favored in this one -4.5. The total is 45. The Ravens enter 6-4, 4-5-1 against the number, and the Steelers are undefeated, 10-0, 8-2 against the spread. So both good straight up. And for bettors, we've got Nick from the Insiders Room to break this one all down for us. Nick, this is probably going to be the best game on Thanksgiving, in my humble opinion. These two teams do not like each other, and it seems like we always get some good ones when it comes to the Ravens and the Steelers. So what's your take when it comes to this big Thanksgiving matchup?
Yeah, a couple of iffy games to begin Thanksgiving there, but a great one to end the night for sure. I mean, at some point, the Steelers are going to have a letdown, Chelsa, and I think that finally is going to come here on Thanksgiving night. You know, Pittsburgh, we've heard of several times already this year that it's trap games. Like last week, it was Jacksonville, but they got by comfortably 27-3. Back at the beginning of November, the Steelers beat the Ravens 28-24 in Baltimore. So now the Ravens, they're out for revenge here. They're also out to finally knock off Pittsburgh, give the Steelers their first loss of the year. You know, motivationally speaking, I think that this one sets up great for the Ravens. I like the Ravens here, Chelsa. Pittsburgh's 10-0 start has clearly exceeded expectations to this point. I mean, would anyone fault the Steelers if they did in fact have a letdown here on the short week? And especially, you know, they have this a real cream puff game next week at home against the Washington football team. But in Baltimore, I mean, the panic button has been hit. The Ravens, they come to town off back-to-back losses. They're now just 6-4. They're third place in the AFC North. They're sitting behind the Browns now. Most recently, the Ravens fell 30-24 in OT to Tennessee. Obviously, the Ravens, they're desperate to break out of this two-game slide. They're eager to give Pittsburgh its first loss of the season. They're hungry to avenge that earlier loss. Now, they do have issues at the running back position there. Mark Ingram's on the COVID list. But for me, this one comes down to Lamar Jackson anyways. I think that if the Ravens are going to get over the hump, if they're going to win this, it's all going to come down to him and his play on this one. One thing I wanted to point out, Chelsa, is a favorable schedule here for Baltimore. If they're able to get by Pittsburgh today, they're scheduled to end the season. Their final 5 games are actually really favorable matchups. They play Dallas, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and the Giants, and then they end the season against the Joe Burrow-less Bengals. So for me, this one isn't about the stats that these teams have been putting up to this point. It's a situational play. I mean, Pittsburgh's played better to this point, but I think the motivational and situational factors working in favor of Baltimore is a difference maker for me. And so I wouldn't be completely shocked by the outright upset, but I'm going to grab the points in what I think will be a pretty close game there, Chelsa.
Yeah, this is one of the games that I really liked for the Ravens. Yeah, they're going on the road against a really good Steelers team, but 4.5 points is a lot to give this Ravens team. I think this is a great buy low spot for Baltimore. Yeah, they're coming off a loss to Tennessee, but that was in overtime, and their defense still looks really hard and really physical. Some of those hits, my goodness, that they were putting on the Titans, my Titans, mind you, even without Calais Campbell, their run stopper, who's going to be out for this one, which, yeah, it's a big loss for this Ravens defense, but they have so many playmakers when it comes to this defense that I think it's still going to be a close game. Yeah, the Steelers are really good, but I think this is going to be closer than people probably think, and I think 4.5 points is a lot to give this team. Yeah, they're going to be out 2 of their running backs, Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, who J.K. Dobbins actually had a really good game against the Titans. Titans couldn't stop him. But Gus Edwards probably going to get the bulk of the carries, and he actually had his best game of the season against the Steelers last time. He carried the ball for a season high 87 yards last time out. So I think that's not too big of a blow as people probably think, and I think that's probably built into the line a little bit of an overreaction there. So I love Baltimore in this spot, especially getting points.
Yeah, I'm with you. How can you not? All those different motivational and situational factors working in their favor. That was a great stat you brought up there about their backup running back. I didn't actually know that. But yeah, as far as a total, you hit the nail on the head. Both of these teams are going to run the ball. They're playing on the short week. They both have great defenses. And so I mean, if you're looking at the total, you have to be looking at that under. Anyways, that's what I'd be personally looking at for sure.
Yeah, I thought that in the Titans game too, but then it went to overtime, and there went my under. But you would think that this one is not going to overtime. Most games do not. But that being said, I'm going to give some credit to the Steelers. Obviously, they're a good team. I'm not going to go on a bunch of tangents telling you how good they are because they're 10 and 0. I don't think that we need to say a whole lot here. I just think the Ravens are being undervalued here just because their recent performances, sometimes when it comes to the betting world, people have a short memory. People remember that game against the Patriots where the Ravens looked terrible. People saw that game against the Titans where they lost. And then against the Steelers, they lost. But last game was really close. It was 28-24. And everyone loves to say that the Ravens can't win the big game, especially with Lamar Jackson. But they don't have to win here. They just have to cover.
Good point. Exactly. Yeah. No, I love Lamar Jackson here. As I said, I wouldn't be shocked by the outright upset, but getting that 4.5 points, why not? This one has the feel of whichever team has its hands on the ball last is going to win. And so in a scenario like that, I'm definitely going to take the revenge-minded underdog.
Yeah, it should be a good little end to the Thanksgiving slate, at least, and a fun one to watch. That's going to do it for NFL Talk here on Picks and Parlays. As always, great insight from Nick from the Insider's Room. Nick, thanks for joining us.